Ah, miniatures! Surely they are some of the finest objects in the history of the land, but they do seem to exist in a constant state of peril and fragility. But, interestingly, I received a package in my mail recently that purports to contain an invention that alleviates some of these symptoms, especially during transport. And that means it's time for another cracking unboxing. Yo-ho! Let's roll. Wait, what do I need to hit? Ah, what a lovely day for an unboxing, and all I need is this box, this knife, and, well, the willingness to go forward into uncharted territory. And we are possessed of uncharted territory this day, for this isn't a figure, it's not a game, it is a miniature carrying case. Now, this bit of miniature baggage here, bearing the name of Feldmaster and the type, according to the box, of Victory, was sent to me by a fine fellow who developed it, and he said he wanted me to make a video, and I said, yes, I'll review it. But now that we come to it, I have to admit I have no idea how to approach something that's actually practical for a change. But we're going to have a go, because we wouldn't get anywhere in life if we didn't accept the challenges that come before us. Now, I am going to be quite gentle here, because it's a fabric. I think there's some fabric components, so I don't want to do any damage to it. Although, as always, when I watch these back, the knife looks a little bit dangerous and I start getting a little worried. Heavy-duty tape, but nothing that the unboxing knife can't handle. Oh, where was I? Ooh, I can see hints of plastic already. It's happening. It's starting. I'll pull it out like this, and I think that'll be fine. And what do we find within? Bits of assemblage. Magnets! I knew it! I did actually know it, because this carrying case uses magnets to secure your miniatures safely while you transport them. Very interesting stuff, and when I actually get round to having a closer look, I'm going to compare it to the carrying case I already have and see how it stacks up. A case, eh? Oh. Man, black plastic is even tougher. It has pluses against unboxing. Implacable foe. Black plastic, you have not defeated me. Satisfaction. Oh, well, I guess we're not done. This might actually take some serious figuring out. Oh, no, wait, no, it won't. It all just became clear. A case construction band for luck. That seems to be the frame assembled, and it goes together without screws or glue, especially. A snap fit. That's the way of the past, the true way. It's good enough for Hero Quest, Space Crusade, and Space Hulk. It's good enough for me. Now, what really enforces the construction is the fact that this frame goes in the bag, like so. Eventually, like so, anyway. Get in there. And it's meant to stand upright like this, as indicated by the handle. And what happens is that there's these trays which go into these drawers. Well, I guess they're... It's a lovely noise, like the forges are home. When you zip it up, it's a pretty package. Now, on first inspection, it seems to me that the name of this is simply A case, which I believe stands for Army Case. Well, now that it's all assembled and ready, at a moment's notice to deploy, like so, it's time to give it a bit of a road test, maybe take some picky-wickies, a little closer look, and we'll see how it fares. Right, talking about something practical. Okay, well, here's the corner, there's the other corner, and, well, that's about it, really. Oh, we could talk about why this case makes a claim at being revolutionary. Matter of fact, I think I can demonstrate it, but I'm going to need the help of the Little Sisters of Indolence, Militant Division. Ah, yes, the Little Sisters of Indolence here are the only miniatures in my collection that I've really had occasion to transport, and as a result, they are among the few that already have magnets affixed to their bases. The little magnets I used here are slightly underpowered for heavy metal miniatures like these, but they're what I had access to back in the day. Fortunately for all, the A case comes with a set of much heavier duty magnets, so that's a plus. Magnets, magnets. Even back in the elder times, I was beset by magnets. Conan is full of magnets, and I didn't even realize. They're everywhere. Anyway, the central gimmick of the A case here revolves around these trays. So once you've got magnets in your miniatures, you arrange them in a suitably heroic fashion, and you slide the drawer into place very carefully. There we are. And then you zip it up, and off you go. A man about town. Right, huge problem. This sort of thing happens all the time. This is the third time this has happened to me on this thing, is that the zipper will simply get stuck. So if you've got your miniatures in there and you come across a problem like this, where you have to maybe use a little bit of action to get them going, sliding around in here could cause problems. It's a hazard, especially if your miniatures are slightly close to the edge. They could get caught on these little lips here, chip away paint, huge problem. This bit here is what I'm talking about, so if you're going to use one of these, just be mindful of that. Now, it could well be that I was just unlucky with the zipper. It does happen. But a quick scan of the reviews of this case show that there is at least one other lad out there who fell afoul of the same kind of problem. Matter of fact, why does it even have a zipper? It should be Velcro. It's covered in Velcro already. And if your zipper goes, you're going to have to do this. Supposing you survive the zipper problem and your miniatures are positioned well, not getting caught on any drawer edges, all you need do is take a hold of the handle or slip the strap over your shoulder and hit the town looking flash. Assuming this goes with your outfit, of course. I ought to mention that the case comes with these mysterious sticky mats. Now, I think the idea is that if your bases don't have magnets in them, you can stick your miniatures to these and transport them that way. Honestly, I have no idea why they included sticky mats with this case. The whole idea with it is that it's magnetic, and anyone who buys one is going to be getting it for that reason, to use magnets. And certainly no one in their right mind is going to trust their precious painted miniatures to a sticky mat. I know I certainly didn't. So, I'm going to have to issue a vote of no confidence in the sticky mat. Though Chancellor Valorum seems to think there is hope. A case victory, eh? Well, in general, I think this is a decent execution of a good idea. This case in particular seems well suited to skirmish-level games or Blood Bowl teams, yeah, that sort of thing. And I think it can also serve as an emergency Conan deployment unit. But overall, it's probably not going to suit some of the larger collections and armies that some folk have. There isn't a lot of room for the vehicles and flyers of Warhammer 40,000, or the other really tall models that Games Workshop like to produce these days. That said, it can accommodate a tall model, represented here by the redoubtable Pudge, but you have to sacrifice a shelf and the space that comes with it. Now, with that in mind, there is a move that you can do to reclaim some of that lost space, but I'm not going to risk it with my sisters. They're a bit too heavy. So, to continue this demonstration, I am going to have to turn to a different kind of warrior. Ah, yes, you know that of which I speak, for across the battlefields of the old world there are few sights as terrific as the flash and slash of their bloody blades, the contortion of their naked musculature, and the chilling death promise carried in their war cries. Idolized and feared in equal measure by their own people, they are a breed of warrior so unmistakably savage and brutal, so outlandish and with such wild hair that they could never sneak up on anyone. Witch elves! You can bung witch elves on the underside of the trays. I suppose it could work with other models too. Whatever. The only problem with this trick is that you absolutely should not do it under any circumstances. The victory model of the A-case has a bit of a serious design flaw, and I don't want you to find out about it the hard way. Right, let's say that you packed all your miniatures up and journeyed with them to another land. Maybe it's someone else's house, or maybe it's the local hobby shop, whatever. And you've settled down for a game, and if there's room, of course, you're going to be tempted to have your A-case there on the side. And maybe you're going to have your miniatures in there until it's time for them to join the battle, or maybe that's where you're going to put your casualties as the results come in. And why wouldn't you? Everything about this case encourages that sort of behaviour. From its small and compact spatial design, the handles at the top, it looks like a display case, and your miniatures do look very good in there. But there's a little bit of a snare going on here, because if you happen to jostle the table a little bit too much, or maybe you or your opponent are squeezing round one side, or maybe some other fellow is squeezing past and nudges it, or maybe even an unwitting person who doesn't know any better, comes from behind, not knowing what it is, tilts it up a little, huge problem. Because it only takes the slightest angle, those shells fly out of there like no one's business. And if you value your miniatures like I know you do, this is a huge problem and is the nightmare scenario. How little provocation is needed for this sort of... It's bad enough for the lower tray, which has that sort of action going on, but if you had ones on the underside, I shudder to think at the problems you're going to have in repairing. Matter of fact, it'd cause you to quit an army altogether. I wouldn't want to face repairs like that at all. All that said, there is a second model of the A-case, the handsomely named Hermes. It's got a broad, flat shape, very steady and not likely to tilt, which is the Victory model's main problem. Well, in concert with the fact there's nothing to stop the drawers flying out, of course. More than that, the Hermes design doesn't seem to encourage you to use the case as sort of a pseudo-display case at tableside, which is particularly hazardous. Instead, it seems to encourage the very safe practice of getting all your miniatures out on the table at once and then putting it away until it's needed again, which is what you should be doing with the Victory model as well. If we just take the case on its own merits, I think it's a fairly valiant effort at trying to improve on a popular idea. But that really just raises the question, is it really an improvement over the idea we already have? Now, I know many of you out there will see this as a great solution to the problem of transporting miniatures, but there are still many others who will see it as a solution to a problem that's already been solved, and has been for decades. Now you see, the A-case here faces some pretty stiff competition, and I don't mean other miniature cases. I mean the kind of case I already use. A toolbox! Mine is called the Rhino. Rhino! Oh, he keeps his sisters of battle in a metal box, the coward, the fool! Yes, I do keep them in a metal box under lock and key, and for good reason. We're still recovering from the time canonist Constantiluga declared Star Wars heretical and spearheaded a crusade. This isn't a new idea or anything. People really have been doing it for years and years, and there's really a lot to be said for it. Mine is about as basic as they come. It's just a box. My sisters occupy the bottom, like this, but I know of one enthusiast who festoons every surface of a very similar case with their army. Troops, vehicles, the works. It's pretty spectacular. And that's the first great advantage to the humble toolbox. It's got a lot more space. You can use all of it, whereas only the drawers of the A-case are magnetic. The frame is a no-go. The second advantage is that there's really only one way to carry it, and it's very safe and sensible. It also has a lock that has never failed me in all these years. So, does the A-case have any advantage over a toolbox such as mine? Well, yes it does. Its advantages come from the fact that it's made for purpose. It's intended to be used with miniatures. Because of the greater accessibility, miniatures are a lot easier to handle with the A-case. You can slide them right off the shelf while touching only the base, which is something I really like. I have to reach down into my toolbox, which can result in handling the painted parts of the miniature, which I generally like to avoid. It also has a pocket in the back for your dice, or inspirational material. Maybe a rule book if you can get it to fit. Now, it might be possible to find or modify a toolbox to match these advantages, but I can't really advise you there. With that in mind, I think people are going to wonder about the cost of these things. Now, the A-case is kind of expensive, whereas toolboxes are going to vary, but my Rhino goes for about $20. And I think that's money well spent. Overall, I think the case is evolutionary rather than revolutionary. See, there's nothing ingenious about it. It's a commercial version of a really good idea that's already been out there for a really long time now. But taken on its own merits, honestly, I do like it, and I think it has a lot of really positive features, but I have a hard time recommending it, because when I use it, I'm always on edge for fear that I'm about to nudge it and have the drawers fly out and damage my miniatures. And the real tragedy is that I think it's exactly one design revision away from being really good. But that's okay, because miniature enthusiasts are clever, resourceful people, always salvaging and repurposing things, and that's what I'm going to do here. A little bit of blue tack on those shelves, and I'll have a lovely display stand for my miniatures. All I've got to do is take out the internal bits, bung them in my cupboard, and all will be... Get out of there, bloody pudge.